Okay, so this is Programming Fundamentals 2. So it's assumed that you all have had programming experience before. Hopefully you've taken COSC 1436 or you've taken an AP programming class in high school and gotten credit for that. If you've never had programming experience, please come see me after class because you might need to go back to the first class. You can also have COSC 1420, that also counts to have this or credit from another college. So if you're questioning whether you should be in this class or not, again, please come talk to me. My name is to bring daily, so people always wonder what they're going to get with that name. Um, so um, I'll be your instructor for this course, and I'm located, I'll tell you about myself in just a bit, but I'm located at this campus. So my office is actually across any other building, which is totally not convenient, but I am going to try to be in this classroom as much as possible because to my knowledge, nobody really teaches in this classroom on Monday and Wednesday, probably until night classes. And so I am in here from 10:15 to 11 right before your class, so you can come in early. Also in here, I have a class until 10:15, so not earlier than that. And then after this, I will stay in here till 2:15. So as long as nobody kicks me out, I will be in here instead of my office because that way I feel like you're not rushed to get out. And then I just go sit in my office. I can help anyone that has questions. People from my other classes can come in and sit and work if they want to. So I think it's nice because it has computers that we can work with. So hopefully that works for everyone. I have my contact information here. I really, really highly recommend that you all email me through Canvas. I'm going to turn this as a student view so it looks more like yours. But you should have an inbox over here and you can click on that. It's really easy because then you don't have to remember my email address or anything. You can just click on my name from the list and send me an email. You can attach files and everything on there. So if you're working on your assignment and you're unsure about what's going on with your assignment, you can attach it, send it to me. I like that better than doing it through Outlook because Outlook, I get a lot of spam. Also, I don't know what class you're coming from until I get to learn all of your names. So I won't know if you're my C++ or my Java or face-to-face online. So it keeps everything organized for me. So if you can email me through Canvas, if you call my office phone, since I'm not usually in my office, it's going to take a long time to get a response. So if you want to click response, please email me through Canvas. That's the best way to get a hold of me. If you click on course syllabus, you'll get the syllabus for the course. If you want a printed copy, feel free to print it after class. But you know, most people don't want a printed copy because you have access to it here. You can also install the Canvas app on your phone. I highly recommend you get the Canvas app on your phone because then you can get notifications if there's announcements in the course or you want to look at the syllabus to see when things are due. You can do it right from your phone, which is pretty awesome because I know we have that all the time. So, you know, highly recommend that. So we're going to meet on Monday and Wednesdays from 11 to 12:45. So hopefully you have that blocked in your schedule because we do have some things that we are going to be monitored in the classroom for, and you have to be in the classroom to do that. So please make sure that you have that time dedicated to this class. If you want to read over the course description, let me know if you have any questions. I don't want to read it to you, but basically it's assumed that you have some prior programming experience. People always think it's strange because we're using Java in this class and you know that your first class was probably C++ unless you took it in high school. You probably haven't had Java. How many have had Java? No. Okay. So it's new to everybody. So that's okay. So what we are going to do is we're actually going to start at the beginning. We're going to start with a hello world. I know that's boring because you've done this, but you can compare what you're learning in Java with what you learned in C++. Now we can't go the same pace that you went in C++ or we wouldn't get to the material for this course. So we're going to count that as a review. We're going to go through, quickly learn input, output, variables, conditionals, loops, arrays. We call them methods, but what you learn is functions in C++. There are no pointers in Java. Yay. And then after we do that, we can start the object-oriented. So we're going to take a couple weeks to review that, make sure everyone's strong at that, and then we can skip right into the object-oriented because I can't just start with object-oriented and say learn how Java, basically. We use Java because it's more known for being object-oriented. You can do it in C++, but Java, that's what it's known for. We also want to give you a mix of C++ and Java. So if you continue on to the next course, which is data structures, the 2436 class, that will be in Java as well. So you won't have to switch back to C++. And so you get a little bit of both languages, which I think is great. So you can see the difference between them. They are very similar. You're probably going to say I'm crazy at the beginning because they don't look similar because the input and output is very different. But once you hit like conditionals and loops, it's the same. Okay. Arrays are pretty much the same, a little different, but you know, you'll see similarities between the two, but the most difference is like the input and output part, the part we start off with. So we'll go, you know, and make sure that we cover all that. Okay. So I have my office hours. I already told you I'm available before class and after class. So any of you that want to stay, feel free to stay. I'll be here till 2:15. At 2:15, I do have to lock up the lab, but there is an open lab down the hall if you want to work, in there. So as far as, having a computer, you can access the computers here when I'm available or in the open lab. You don't have to buy a computer for this class unless you want to do so. You shouldn't need, if you have a computer, any computer should work. You shouldn't need anything fancy. The, you know, editors that we use aren't too intensive, so you shouldn't need anything. Something that's even like 6 or 7 years old should still work. So you shouldn't need to go buy like a new computer, something like that. I have online office hours, but I know it's probably more convenient for you to talk to me during class, before or after class. But if you happen to be working on your assignment, you need some help. Everything in this class is due, except for the in-class activities we do, is due on Sundays at 10. And I know that's not convenient for everybody. But for me, that works because it's kind of like we have class on Monday, so it's due right before we start the next, chapter. And so I have it being due. I did have it 11:59 before I had kids, but now I have kids, and I get a lot of questions at like 11:30 at night, and I don't like 11:30 at night questions because I'm trying to sleep. So I realized that if I make it due at 10, I get questions at 9:30, which is better for me. So that's why I make it 10. And I know that's not convenient for everybody, and I get a lot of complaints about it, but that's why, because I got all the emails in the middle of the night. Okay, so I used to be a late person, but not a late person anymore. Okay, kids change everything. Okay, so you can schedule an online office hour. If you click on this link, it takes you to bookings. And then if I go out, I have to go out here to do Sunday. And then if I just click on a time, you can put your name, you can put your email, you don't have to put your address and phone number, and then just tell me what the office hour is about. Like, are you having trouble with your assignment? What do you need help with? So I know what we're meeting about. I just have 20-minute increments because I'm trying to get as many students as possible. But I found that answers some of your basic questions. That's not going to be enough time to go through like every step of the assignment with you, but that gets you to a good start. And I don't want to go through every step because you should be working on it on your own. So I just want to kind of tell you what should you do and then give you some time to do it. But you can always come back and schedule another time later that we can meet. But please don't take up all of the office hours because you want to give some to other students. And also, on that note, if you realize that you're not going to be able to make it, if you could cancel it, so it will send you an email once you schedule one, and it will give you directions for canceling. So if you could cancel, that way another student can take that time slot. So, and you don't have to wait till Sunday nights to see me. So let's say you're working and you really have a question on Thursday, but we already had class on Wednesday, so you don't think you have to wait till Sunday to talk to me. You can always send me an email whenever you have a question. And if I can answer it through email, I will. And if I can't, we'll say, can we set up an appointment to Zoom? And I don't have to wait till Sunday. I can say, these are the times I'm available today. What time are you available? And we can see if we can work something out. Okay, anyone have any questions? All right. We also have a tutor for this class. I'll show you his hours in just a bit, but that's perfect because he is going to UTD. He has taken all these classes before. He can help you also. How many of you are thinking about going to UTD? It's always a lot. Okay, so he can answer questions about UTD for you as well. So he should know everything in this class. So, don't hesitate to make an appointment with him and use him as well. Okay, supplies. You already have, if you took the C++ class, you know that we probably used a book called Revel. We're using Revel in here as well. It's actually the same author. So unfortunately, if you did not like that author, you're stuck with him again. I know Revel has its good and its bad. I tried to pick out the questions that I thought were the ones that would focus on what I wanted to cover. I did not give you all the questions in Revel. I, filtered out some of the questions. However, they just got a new version of Revel. And I didn't try out every programming example that they have because I just got it like a week before. I tried out some of them and I put them in there. So if we have any trouble with the questions in Revel, just let me know and I can, help you with that. So it is 10% of your grade, so you do need to make sure you do it by the due date. So I have due dates, again, 10 p.m. on Sunday, that I want you to complete the Revel activities, the readings. Some things, again, will be very similar to what you did in C++. Probably not at the beginning, but when you're doing like conditionals and loops, you can skim faster through that, okay? And if you can answer the Revel questions, then you're understanding it. If you can't, then you need to go back and reread. So if you have any trouble with those Revel questions, just let me know. But pretty much you can keep trying until you get them right. I think if it's multiple choice, you get 3 tries. You don't get 4 because that would be basically giving you the answer. But you get to do the questions that are coding as many times But once you click show the answer, you can't do it again. So don't click show the answer, okay? If you feel like the code that you have works, you may have even tested it in an editor and you're like, this works and it's doing what they're asking. Just send me a screenshot of what you have and what they're asking. And I will, if it is correct, I will just manually put the credit in there because it might be Revel didn't account for that. Again, this is a new version. So maybe you did it in a different way that it did not account for, but it doesn't mean your way is incorrect. It's just, unfortunately, there's some limitation to automatically graded things. That's why I don't use it for assignments. I just use it for basing coding things. It'll ask for like a couple lines of code. Some of the ones in the more advanced chapter, you have to write more code. So it's more likely that it's going to have problems with some things. So just let me know if you're having any issues with it. Okay. So that already comes with your registration. You already paid for it. You actually, when you go on Canvas, if you just click on course materials, it'll take you to the textbook. And the first time you click on launch, it's going to ask you to fill out a Pearson account. Now, if you had this last semester, you might already have a Pearson account. It might be able to link it. I'm not sure about that, but use your call and email and it should work. And once you do that, you won't have to set it up again. It's automatically linked to the gradebook. Sometimes it takes like an hour or so for it to sync back to the gradebook. So if you've completed something in Revel and you go back to the gradebook, it's not there, give it like an hour. If it doesn't sync, then let me know and I'll take a look at it. So it says here opt out. Please don't opt out because it's 10% of your grade and you do get a discount for doing the first day. So if you go to repurchase it again, you'll have to pay like 20% extra than what you already paid. So please don't do that because you'll lose 20% or 10% of your grade because of that. So you click launch coursework and then you have to set up your account. So let me know if you have any troubles with that. Okay, I recommend to get a flash drive for this class because we're in the classroom. If you want to bring your own computer to class and work from that, that's fine. The only thing is when we do, I'm going to talk about this later, we're going to have some monitored assessment in here where we do it on the computers in here. I do need you to use the computer in here because I'm going to monitor your screen, so I can't have you use your computer. So that's where a flash drive would come in handy because some of the monitored work you can use like your assignments and exercises. So instead of like emailing it to yourself and then pulling it off, which you can do if you don't want to buy a flash drive, a flash drive is easier. I do have some extra if you just want to use it for assessment, but if you can get one, they're pretty cheap and it might save you the hassle of having to deal with it. So a flash drive would be nice, but you're not required to get it. Attendance policy. I do take attendance every class because I do want to learn your names. However, you don't get credit for being here. But I do have to turn in like my attendance when someone asks me if they're attending or not attending. I have to turn that in. And I also want to know who's been here and who's not been here. Like if you tell me you're completely lost, but you haven't been here for 4 weeks, that's probably why. So I do want to know if you're coming, and I do hope you will come. But there are going to be some dates that you'll be required to be here because we're taking assessment during those dates. And if you're not here, you can't take the assessment. Okay. I can't do honor lock with tests because that charges the school. So I have to do all the testing in class instead of in class. Classroom. How many of you used AI before? Everybody, right? Okay. I use AI to help me write my AI policy. Okay. I use AI all the time because I think it's cool and it does a better job of wording things than I do. So I know it's so easy. Like you have this assignment and it'd be so easy to just ask it to do it for you. I know that, right? It's like sitting there, it would take 2 minutes versus taking like an hour. It's very tempting. But what happens is if you ask it to do all your assignments for you, it does a pretty good job, by the way. Sometimes I can tell if it did it and sometimes I can't. The problem is you're not learning anything, right? And if you're all in the second class, so I'm assuming most of you are some type of engineering, if not computer science. How many computer science majors? Okay, so you want to learn how to code, I'm assuming. So you're going to have to go to the next class. And if you don't learn it in this class, you're going to have a really hard time in the next class, and then when you get a job, have a really hard time. So eventually it's going to catch up with you. So I highly recommend that you use AI as a tutoring tool, not as a do all my work tool, okay? So what I mean by that is AI is great. It's not 100% correct all the time. Sometimes it makes mistakes, but it's pretty good at explaining things, especially at this level. So if you're not understanding the for loop and what's doing, say, what is this? Please explain this for loop. And it'll go through and it'll tell you every iteration and what it does. Most of the time, pretty correct, right? If you have an error in your code and you want to know, you've been staring at it for a while and you're like, what's the problem with this? Just ask it what the problem is and see what it says. Now, if you ask it to do your assignment, sometimes it does it in weird ways that we haven't learned in this class. So I'm not going to accept assignments that are done in a way that we haven't learned in class. Like If you're going to use a recursion for your assignment, and we haven't talked about recursion in this class, then that's not acceptable because ChatGPT does things like that. And then I start to get suspicious as to why we're using things like that. So if it looks like it came from ChatGPT, then I'm going to turn it into Dina students. If it looks like another student's work, then I'm going to turn it into Dina students. But if you're using it as a tutoring tool to help you understand, completely fine, right? Fine with the non-monitored assessment, not fine with the monitored we're doing in class. Okay, so using it on your assignment is fine depending on how you use it. Are you using it to understand like what's wrong with your for loop, or but not using it to do your whole assignment? So everybody with me? So there's benefit to it. I think it's great. Like I will write a paragraph and I'll have it rewrite it for me, but I just need a little adjustments of words here and there, that kind of thing. Okay, collaboration. I feel the same way. I feel like it's great to work with each other. So if you want to work with someone else in this class, that's fine. Not on the monitored work, but on assignments. If you want to work together, you just can't have the other person doing your assignment or say like, hey, did you do it? Can you give it to me? That kind of thing. Because if your assignment looks exactly the same, then I'm going to question that. But if you're working together and you're like, I'm really confused about this, somebody can help explain it to you, just like the tutor would do or I would do. Don't give them the answer, but help them understand what they're doing wrong if you want to work together. Is everybody with me? So if you want to have a study group when you're studying for your test, all of that is completely fine. You're probably going to see these people again. It's probably going to be in your next class. So it's great to get to know each other. A lot of you said you're going to UTD, so you'll probably see each other at UTD. So getting to know each other, I think, is a great thing. Just make sure you're learning the material so that you can. Okay. If I think of anything suspicious, I will turn it into the Dean of Students. It's not the end of the world. It's a learning experience. So I may or may not be correct when I turn it in. You just have to meet with them, explain your case, and if it was, then you get a 0 for whatever it was. So like if you took someone else's assignment, you just learn you're not supposed to do that again, right? It's not that much, right? But try not to do that. And if you have any questions about what you're doing is something that you're allowed or not allowed to do, just ask me. Okay. I round up if it's 0.5, so 0.4 goes down, 0.5 goes up. So 89.5 goes up to an A. I have a lot of different categories, unfortunately, but once you get used to it, it's not that bad. It seems a bit overwhelming right now. Revel is 10%. We already went through that. I do not accept Revel after the due date. Okay, so it has to be, those Revel activities have to be completed. You can keep redoing them until you get it right. If you have a question and you feel frustrated, just let me know. Like, I have this, it wants this, I cannot get it, and I can help you with that. The tutor can help you with that. So and also maybe just skip that question, come back to that question. Don't just like sit at the same question, because each question is just 1 point. So some questions are more difficult than others. Get the other ones done, come back to that one. Okay, so you get credit for that. That should be easy. Everybody should have that as long as you do it by the due date. Okay, it is going to disappear after the due date. You can still see the readings, but you won't see the questions to do. Okay, the coding exercises are 5%, and that doesn't seem a lot, but you don't want to miss all 5%. This is super easy, and everybody should have it. If you don't have it, you're just being lazy, okay? Because it's given to you, it tells you what to type, where to click, what it should look like, what to turn in, okay? The only thing is you have to do it by the due date. So you have to do it early and get it in, but it's given to you, and it should be a free 5% of your grade. Okay, so far a free 15% of your grade, right? Just gotta do it by the due date. Quizzes are 10% of your grade. And they are going to help you. We're going to have a midterm in this class that's going to be multiple choice. On the midterm, you're not allowed to use your book or any resources. But on the quizzes, you can use your book and you use your resources. If you want to use AI, you'll get the answer, but then you won't know the material when you do the midterm. So I highly recommend you don't do that. But they're not monitored, so I won't know what you did. If you asked your neighbor, you asked AI, I won't know. But these are a good study guide for you for the midterm to practice the material and make sure you understand the material. When you get a question wrong, you should be going back and looking it up and understanding why you missed that. This is a great time to ask ChatGPT. You missed a question on the quiz and you're confused. Ask it to explain it to you, and it'll explain it to you after you've already tried the question. Now, you can redo the quizzes as many times as you want by the due date, so everybody should have perfect, right? Because I want it to be a learning experience. So you missed 5 out of 10, not great. Why did you miss those 5? Did you learn it? Can you answer them now? Great. Okay, if not, ask for help if you're still confused. If you're confused about something in this course, it's going to come up again to haunt you, okay? It's not going away. Nothing in this course is going away. It's not like some of those courses where you can say, oh, I don't know what a variable is. Let's move on. No, if you don't know what a variable is, you can just write off the rest of the class because variables are everywhere and they're not going away, right? Everything builds on the previous. And when we get to object oriented, if there's something you didn't understand, like let's say you don't understand how to write your own method, you have to write so many methods in there, you're going to be overwhelmed. Okay. So if you don't understand something in how to write a method, you need to figure it out because it's not going away. Okay. Nothing's going away. So please get that clarified from me or the tutor, another student that has an AI tool. Somehow get clarification on that so you feel good about it so we can move on to the next thing. Okay. And I don't mean this, I always sound scary on the first day, I'm sorry. So I just feel like I want to lay down so everybody is good because I would love nothing more than to mark A's at the end of the semester for everybody, but I needed for you to earn it because I would get in trouble if I just got an A for everybody. So y'all earn it and I'm good, you're good, everybody gets an A, right? Okay. I don't want to give out F's. I really don't. Doesn't look good for me, doesn't look good for you. Nobody wants that. Okay. So I'm just telling you how to get it. Okay. So quizzes are easy. I do drop your lowest quiz score. So if you do happen to just forget to take one, they're due by Sunday at 10. Sometimes things happen in your life. You forget to take it. You're like, oops, that doesn't count in your grade. But you can only do that one time. So don't keep doing that. Yes. Yeah, it is. But we're starting at the beginning. So you'll be okay. We're just going quickly through it. Everybody always is like, wait, I didn't take Java. It's okay. I'm a little biased. I like Java better. I teach both, but I do like Java better. So hopefully you'll like Java better too. No pointers. Yeah. Okay. Java does some things for us that C++ doesn't. C++ is a little more technical. Java is a little higher level. So I don't know. Everybody's different. C++ was your first. Maybe you like that because it's your first. But you have to pick at the end. And if you don't like it, then I deduct a whole letter grade. All right, coding assignments or 15% of your grade. They're not super high, but it's worth more than like your quizzes and your exercises. That's because I know that you may work with people or get a little bit too much help from AI. But I do think that they're valuable because they're going to, basically I tell you what I want you to achieve and you have to figure out how to get there. So you have to use the exercises in the book, what you've been doing in Revel. Revel is great practice because it's going to say, I want you to do this in a condition and you have to write the conditional to do it. And so it's great practice for getting to this point. So the assignment should be done after you do all that. Should be one of the last things you do. Okay. And so, they range in complexity. They're very easy at the beginning, then they'll get a little tougher. Assignments are great practice for the monitored checkpoints that we're going to do. So if you're not doing the assignments, then it's going to be very hard to do the checkpoints. So the assignments are the only thing that I'll accept late, okay? Because I think it's very important that you understand, the material. And so I found in the past, I used to be pretty easygoing with like allowing people to do Revel activities late, but I found that when I tell students that Revel activities, basically I'm accepting them to the end of the semester, then if I had students basically say, well, then I'm not going to read it till the end of the semester. And I'm like, well, but how do you do like chapter 2 without reading chapter 2? Like, oh, I'm going to read chapter 2 later. But how do you do the assignment in chapter 2 without reading chapter 2? So then I got really mad because I had a couple students tell me this, and they said, I'm not accepting it anymore. Like, I'm done with that. Because like some students won't read it until the due date. So if I have to make the due date, because then I have to force people to do it. So I stopped. And same thing with the exercises. When I allowed people, I'm like, this is great practice. And then I had some students like, well, it's not due to the end of the semester, so I'll just do it all. But the exercises are supposed to help you with the assignment. So if you don't do it before the assignment, doing it at the end of the semester doesn't help anyone, right? So that's why I kind of got like really strict on that because I got upset with students just basically saying, I'm not going to do anything till the end of the semester. Okay, that's not going to work. So assignments have a due date because I want you to get moving on them, but I do accept them late. So it's 1 point per day late because I think it's better you turn it in 1 day late than a week late. So, the faster you get moving, the better. But if you realize it's Sunday night and your assignment completely doesn't work, it would be better not to turn it in, okay, and wait an extra day. Get some help from Tammy or myself or another student, ask for help. Then get something working to turn in on Monday and get 1 point taken off, okay? Because it'd be better to get a 19 out of 20 than to turn in complete garbage and get like a 2 out of 20, okay? Because after I grade that, I don't want to keep regrading, so after you turn something in, that's your grade, okay? So I'm not gonna like keep accepting. Now, I do kind of make an exception. So because I let people turn things in late and I take off points, if you turn something in that was worth 15 points, 15 days late, you wouldn't get any credit, right? But I only take off half points for credit. Like if you turn it in 15 days late, then it'll only take off half credit for being late because I want to give you some credit for it. So I stopped deducting at half credit. Okay. So I'm going to say the same thing, whereas if you made a really bad mistake and you failed the assignment and you got a 2 out of 15, you can turn it in again for half credit. Okay. So if you don't have half credit on one of your assignments, it's a 0 because you didn't do it, or it's a 2 because you didn't do well at it, you can always resubmit for up to half credit, but half credit is the max you can get. Does that make sense? So resubmission, half credit is the max you can get. So if you get a 14 out of 15, you can't resubmit for 15 because I can't keep regrading, you know? And I always, I tell you what's wrong with it. So I basically say, you know, you should have done this instead of this, and that's why. So by that point, we're not resubmitting for 15. Does that make sense, everybody? Okay, so always check the grading rubric, make sure you got what you think is what I'm asking. And if you think that you're missing a lot of what's in the grading rubric, then maybe hold on to it another day if it's an assignment, or another 2 days if you need to. Okay, everybody good? Okay. Coding checkpoints. So coding checkpoints are going to be monitored in the classroom. Okay, so they have certain days on the calendar. Make sure you're here. They're going to be at the end of class because I want to go over some material at the beginning, and then I'll leave you that much time at the end to do them. And so we have, I think I have 40 minutes for those. But it's not going to be as intense as an assignment. An assignment you have a week, so you're expected to have a little bit more to that than the checkpoints. The checkpoints are going to be slimmed down versions of do you understand the content, okay? You can use your assignments, your exercises, examples we worked on in class to help you with the checkpoints, but you can't use like online resources like ChatGPT or anything like that. So I am going to monitor your screen in the classroom to make sure no one's like looking at the answers on ChatGPT. Does that make sense, everybody? So I'm basically testing you because when you do your assignments, I don't know what you're doing outside the classroom. So when you do the checkpoints, that's my way of monitoring what you're doing in the classroom. Make sure you are doing the work. So that's worth more of your grade because that's your way to prove that you know it. Okay. The midterm is going to be multiple choice. So the quizzes are like a great study guide for the midterm. That's the type of questions that I like to ask, and so you help prepare you for the midterm. I also have a practice midterm, so don't get too stressed because you do the practice before you do the actual midterm to tell you if you're on track or not, and if you're not, you can get some help before you take it. So it is a big portion of your grade, but you'll know probably before you take it how much you know and how much you need to practice. Okay. The final project, I wouldn't stress too much about because the final project is going to be like your checkpoints, except a bigger one, okay? So the final project is going to prove that you know all the object-oriented concepts in the class, the things that we really have to focus on, like inheritance and polymorphism and all these wonderful object-oriented things you have to learn. That's going to be in your final class project, but you have an hour and a half to complete it instead of 40 minutes. And you can use all of your assignments, your exercises, the checkpoints you did in the class, the examples we worked on in class, all of that code to help you with that as resources. So, and they'll be similar to some of your assignments, so you can use that as a guide. So don't stress too much. As long as you stay organized, the checkpoint shouldn't be too bad because if you stay organized and you have all your files, this is where I recommend a flash drive. If you have all your files organized on a flash drive, when you're ready to do the checkpoint, you'll know where everything is. If you feel like you'll be wasting a lot of time if you can't find things, trying to find it on Canvas or like on your, you know, your folder somewhere that you don't know where it is. So if you stay organized and you put like chapter folders and you know where everything is, then hopefully that'll be helpful and it won't be too bad. Does anyone have questions? I do drop your lowest checkpoint too. So if you happen to, you know, not do well on one of them, I do drop the lowest. All right, so the course calendar is tentative. So if something were to happen and I were to get sick and I have to delay assignments, I never move up assignment dates, but if I have to, I can extend them. Okay, but I will tell you in class or I will post an announcement on campus if that happens. And if I'm ever sick, I will try to notify you as soon as I know, and I will post an announcement, that type of thing, so you know. So try to check your announcements when possible. Okay, so today, going over the syllabus, going over Canvas. We are going to get started with chapter 1. Chapter 1, I'm actually not going to use the chapter 1 in your book because it's the same chapter you had in the last class. It's about like input, output, you know that. Like not input, output in Java, but just like input is your keyboard and your mouse, and like output is your monitor and the printer, and we know that, and we're done with that, right? I mean, we do know that. Okay, and what is a program? We've done that. Okay, so I don't think that that's as useful. If you want to read over it, you can. But like the chapter 1, I posted my own PDF about like what is Java, and you know went into Java. Done with that chapter 1 in your book. Okay, so chapter 2 is where we really start talking about variables and everything. So chapter 2, we're going to start on Wednesday. So want to get an early start. I am using the one-year book for that. So you can get an early start on the Rebel activities and reading over chapter 2. I know that Wednesday is coming pretty quick, but as much as you can. I mean, we'll go over it in class, but the more you can get done before class, the more you'll understand in class. So if you can kind of skim over it, do some of the Rebel. That way, if you have questions or you got stuck, you can ask in class while we're going over it. But we're not going to be done with chapter 2 this week because it's kind of rushed. So we'll finish up the next week. We do kind of have Labor Day, which kind of, makes it hard to get things done, but hopefully gives you a nice little break. We do not have class on Monday for Labor Day. The whole campus is shut down, so don't plan to work on that day. But it kind of delays some of the things you have to do. So my hope is that we will be able to go through chapter 2, here, and whatever we don't finish, we'll do here. But I do want you to finish the readings by this Sunday for chapter 2, and the exercises. I'll talk about what those are. I'll show you where they are on campus. Okay, so it looks like you have a lot, but chapter 1 is like Hello World and, very basic. Then chapter 2 is just some basic variables. So it should be pretty easy because y'all hopefully have covered that in C++. So it's not too bad. Just learning Java is the difference. Okay, so you can kind of go through and see our schedule. You can see what's due 10 o'clock on Sundays each week. And then again, there will be a midterm in here. So we take the midterm in class on the 16th of October. And you can see on here when you're doing the checkpoint. So you need to make sure you're in class on those days, because if you're not, you miss that. Okay, not that you shouldn't be in class every day, but those are the most important days to be in class if you have to weigh it. Okay. Now, the final project is going to be the last during finals week, the last week of class during class. Okay. And then if you need to know what the chapters are, if you want to know what the chapters are, it's broken down here. It took up a lot of wording in the actual calendar, so I put it down below. If you want to know, we have a Thanksgiving Day we missed too. We missed the Wednesday of Thanksgiving week, so. All right, student learning outcomes, if you have any questions about those, let me know. If you have any questions about the institutional policies, please let me know what it means to have scholastic dishonesty. If you need any accommodations, like you need extra time on your exams, I need to access accommodation letter. They usually email them to me, but if you want to double check with me, make sure I got the email to make sure I'm going to give you the accommodations, please get that started right away so that, on the quizzes, you'll have extra time, and your projects in class. I stay till 2:15, so I have no problem with you just staying after, like, for your extended time. But if you want to go in like the testing center, you also have that option. So just let me know if that works better. But I need accommodation letter to do that. If anyone has any questions about any of the other policies, let me know. This is a face-to-face class, so you don't have to go out and buy a computer because you have access to a computer right here. You also have ones down the hall you can use. It really doesn't matter to me which editor you use for this class. I'm going to use an editor called NetBeans, which I just discovered they took off my computer, so I have to put back on. But you can use whatever works for you. So Eclipse or yeah. Okay. Yeah, just email me and I'll do it. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, so that you can use whatever editor works for you. I know you probably use like Online GDB or C++ Shell for C++, or yeah, for C++. C++ Shell doesn't work for Java, but Online GDB does. But I highly recommend that you get away from that and you go into like a full-fledged editor, because it's great for simple little one-file programs, but when we start using multiple files, it's not as great. So I recommend that you transition. And you can do this for like the first 2 weeks or so, but then we should transition. So you can use NetBeans if you like that. That's what I use in class. Once I get it installed, I will use it in here. Or you can use, again, Eclipse. A lot of people like VS Code. If you're using a Mac, like Xcode, or some people use like Replit, IntelliJ, whichever one you want to use. I just need the Java code. So however you get me the Java code. Now, the only thing is when you're doing your checkpoints in here, you will have to be familiar with NetBeans because you'll have to use the computers in here. So you have to be familiar enough that you can pull up your files in NetBeans and work to submit that. So I don't want you to be completely overwhelmed. So at least like using NetBeans every once in a while to make sure you're okay with that would be good. But at home, whenever you use this fine. Do you have a question? Okay. All right. Everybody good? So you don't need to buy anything. If you want to listen to videos, you can actually watch them on your phone. But if you have speakers on your computer, otherwise you'll have to turn on like closed caption and read it. And I have not double checked that, so there's probably lots of mistakes in there. But this is a face-to-face class, so please just be respectful of your classmates and everything. If you're sending me an email, just be descriptive as possible. So like, what do you need help with? You know, what question do you have? So I can fully answer it for you. Okay. Anyone have any questions? Pretty good? Yes. I've never used that. I guess. I have to look at that. I don't know. I guess. I've never heard of that. Okay. If it writes Java code, it's fine. Okay. So if you click on modules, all of this you need to read if you are not familiar with Canvas, or if you're new to Colin, you want to read the policies. If you're not new to Colin or Canvas, you probably don't need to read this. So then down here is where you would start. If you click on welcome, okay, I do have the syllabus link here, but the syllabus is also over here. And then if you have questions about Canvas, I have a link to, you know, learning more about Canvas. I do have the link to the materials over here, but I have it here. I do have like a little video about myself, but I could just give you a brief overview. So my name is Tabring. I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So I have been here though, teaching at Collin for the last 18 years, so I haven't been there in a while. So, you know, I used to have like a lot of slang and things that came from there, but it's been so long since I've lived there that hopefully all that's gone. I used to be a big Steeler fan, but I had kids and they don't let me watch it, so I haven't been watching it, so I don't know what's going on in sports. So if you're like, go Steelers, I'm like, I don't know, are they good or are they bad this year? So I don't know. I just got off of it and now they'll let me watch it, but I just lost interest, I guess. So I don't know what's going on with any of the sport teams. So I'm actually named after Star Trek, which I know there's usually not many Trekkies, but I was named after one episode of Star Trek, and it's actually to bring, not to bring, but you know, my dad made a mistake. So here I am. I have two kids. They're 7 and 10. My daughter actually just started at Draper, so that's a whole experience in itself. She's a big bad middle schooler now, apparently, and so she's got like attitude and everything. So like that started earlier than I needed it. But you know, it's fun, but you know, that's why I'm not up as late because I have to get really early now. But anyways, I have my bachelor's in education, my master's in information science, and they're both from the University of Pittsburgh. And then I went to UNT for my doctorate. Is everybody's UTV, right? Okay. But if you have any questions about UNT, I really liked it there. Good. So I am primary advisor of 2 organizations, Software Engineering Club, which hopefully you all consider being a part of if you're not already a part of it, and the Society of Women's Engineers, which I know there's more males in this classroom than females, but males are welcome to join as well. And I highly encourage the females to get involved with that club. So the 2 clubs, actually, because I'm the advisor of both, we're going to do a lot of collaboration events. So, you know, because I feel like it'd be good to just recruit in both areas. So if you go onto Cougar Connect and you click join, you're not required to do anything, but you'll get notifications. I will definitely notify you anyways in class about events. But pretty much Software Engineering Club, we try to do more projects. And since you're in the second class, it'd be great to start having some projects. We start talking about GitHub. And have y'all heard of GitHub? You have a GitHub account? Okay. You should start thinking about posting projects on there, getting ready for, you know, internship possibilities, things like that. So I think that'd be great. That's the point of that club. The Society of Women's Engineers, we focused more on getting your portfolio ready as far as like resume building. Do you have a good resume? Are you ready to interview, like mock interviews, that type of thing? But we are probably going to join that also with the Software Engineering Club. So if you're part of that, probably be a collaboration event. So I feel like, you know, any engineer can benefit. You know, we have to do things more general in the Society of Women's Engineers. It's for all engineering majors, but things that would benefit also software engineering students will collaborate and do an event together. So hopefully you'll think about joining those. I don't have a video for the Software Engineering Club, but I do have one for SWE if you're interested in watching that. Okay, so I highly encourage y'all to get involved. I can't stress enough how good it looks on your resume to have been involved with some club activities, especially being an officer, showing leadership skills. So when officer positions happen, which there will be some opportunities, think about getting involved. But even if you're not an officer, just being involved is a good thing to show that you were involved with the student organization, because it shows that outside of the coursework that you did, what else did you do? So it's good to think about getting involved, especially in your second level class. Okay, here is how you install NetBeans. And so you have to install the JDK first. That's your Java development kit. That's how it's going to know what Java is. And then you install NetBeans. You have to do that first, because if you install NetBeans first, it won't know what it is. Okay. If it's not working, try a different browser and hopefully it works for you. If you have any trouble, let me know. If you get really frustrated with NetBeans, you can also, again, just use a different editor. Getting help, I have my office hours, which is also on the syllabus, but I also have Temmie's hours, and I have how to schedule an appointment with him. It uses a program called TrackCloud, which is in one login. It also, any other class you have, when you click on it, you click on your class, it'll tell you what tutoring is available. So you may have a class you didn't know that tutoring was available for, and TrackCloud will help you with that. So we have like math and writing and all kind of things. So. Okay. Tips for being successful. Of course, coming to class is always helpful. Reading the book is always helpful. Doing the Revel, which you get credit for, is helpful. Starting early, I know you've heard this, not waiting till Sunday night to start, but starting earlier in the week, because you see me on Monday and Wednesday. So if you can start, you can usually ask me by Wednesday if you have any trouble. It's always good to get an early start. That way, if things happen, you still are okay. I do post the videos from class in case you happen to miss class, so always be sure to watch those. I don't have anything because we didn't have class yet, but be sure to watch those because you don't want to get behind. If you want to rewatch anything, access to that. Okay. So extra credit, I only give one extra credit opportunity, and this is the only one I give, okay? So please take advantage of it. You have all semester to do it. I want you to get involved with some sort of activity on campus. This doesn't count for like free ice cream social where you go next door and get it. Now, I think that's really cool that they do that. And usually by the elevator, if you're going up this way down this hall on the elevator, they do post like a board. I think probably post one on there too. But I always notice it that says like all the free things that are happening. They have like usually over in the student center, they give out like free food or they have events. I'll try to mention it to you, but that doesn't count as an event, okay? So you see all of these different clubs. If you click on them, it'll link to Cougar Web or Cougar Connect, which is how we do our clubs here at Collin. You can join any of them and you're not obligated to come to the meetings by just joining, but it means you'll get email notifications whenever they have an event. So you can take a look at some of those and see if you're interested. We actually had already put an event that's coming up on September 13th. I'll post a flyer once you get a flyer. September 13th at 12 p.m. It's going to be at the Plano campus, unfortunately. Most of our events will be at Plano because it's kind of central. So if we have to pick a campus, I'd rather Wiley, but it's closer to my house, but Plano is more central. So we will be at Plano. We're going to have free pizza. So, if y'all want food. We're going to talk about Robotics Club, Software Engineering Club, and Society of Women's Engineers, like what it is, what we're planning to do. So if you have off, that would count as your one event. But if you can't attend that or that's not interesting to you, there'll be plenty of other events that you can attend. And they're all going to be, some will be online, some will be on campus. So you don't, if you can't make it to Plano campus, there'll be some online things at different times you can attend. Okay, most of our events happen on Friday. So if you have Friday class, it's kind of hard. But we try to do them at different times. So, hopefully something works. But if none of that works, we have something called Handshake. Have you heard of it before? Handshake is pretty cool. I highly recommend you set up an account. You have to set up an account. It's free. You put in your interest and it will show you all the events. Okay. So a lot of the events are online. So, and they're all at different times because they're going to be all throughout the country. So pay attention to what time zone the event is at, because I've had students be like, I thought this was 11. And it's like, all this is like, Eastern time. And it's like, oh, okay. So just pay attention because it's, Google might be giving a talk and maybe you're interested. If it's something related to technology, like coding, it can be any tech company basically giving a talk. Security, cybersecurity, anything like that, that's fine. Anything that's going to help you, like resume, tips or resume building workshop or like tips for interviewing, things like that, that's fine. As long as it's a half an hour long, which they all should be, that's okay. That's good. So all you have to do is let me know what you attended. If you're not sure if what you're attending is going to work, as extra credit, just email me and let me know or ask me in class. But you can go in here and it'll give you a variety of things. And also they post internships. More and more companies are posting things on there. So you get on there, you can look for things like that. Okay. And by the way, if you're thinking about internship, usually they don't start accepting interns until they're about to transfer to, until they're transferring in like as a junior in the, UTD or wherever you're going. So usually it's a little early now for that. So you probably start thinking about the summer, like applying. You probably should start looking in October for the summer, because that's about the time you take like programming 3 in the spring, and then you'd be about ready to do that. Okay, so start keeping that in mind. We are going to try to have more GitHub workshops, but these are what we did in the past in case you're interested on that. What is GitHub? How can it be beneficial? I highly recommend you get a student GitHub account. It gives you so much access to so many different apps you might be interested in that you get for free as a student. You have to prove you're a student though, that's the only thing. So when you're signing up, if you say you're a student, you have to actually prove it. Students have told me the easiest way to prove it is to take a screenshot of your registration. Because normally they ask for your ID, but call-in IDs don't expire, so they won't accept that because it doesn't have an expiration date. But usually like a copy of your registration of your courses is acceptable, and it usually takes a little bit to get approval, but then you get access to all these different resources. So going to GitHub and getting a student account, I think is, a huge benefit, that you get as a student. So highly recommend that. Okay, and then once you do attend an event, you can go in here to the extra credit. And I know it says 0 points, but because it's actually extra credit, so you don't have to do it. But if you click start assignment and you just put in the text box what did you attend, then I can give you the credit for that. You can only get it one time, unfortunately. So, and it goes towards your assignments. So even if you get a perfect on your assignments, it will still boost you over that percentage to help with your other grades. So still be helpful. So whenever you see something, please think about doing that and you'll get extra credit for it. Okay, so I put getting help actually in each module. At least I thought I did. Maybe I didn't. I thought I did. I'll try to go back and do that. But I want you to remember that we're here for you. Okay, so don't hesitate to contact me. Contact the tutor. Click there for information about getting help. This is going to be in every single module. And this reading is over here. I probably don't need to keep repeating that. But here's some practice problems. Although there's so many practice problems out there. HackerRank and different sites you can use for practice. This is just one of them and it's easy to use. I highly recommend you download the zip folder because that's where all the slides are and all of the code examples that I go over in class. So if you download that, you just have to do it once and it has everything. It has all the chapters. So when you download it, you have to unzip it. So if you're not familiar how to do that, please let me know. But you can't really access the Java code unless you unzip it. Okay. Okay. Here's the link to all of our class videos. Once I have that, it'll just be a playlist on YouTube, so you'll have access to all of them. We're gonna do this in just a bit, so we'll do that chapter 1 exercise together. Don't take this until you're ready, although it doesn't matter because you get to keep retaking it. Just make sure you do it by the due date. So even if you don't do well the first time and you're like, I didn't quite know this yet, you get to keep redoing it, so it's okay. All right, so kind of going through this, it's kind of once you get the hang of it, it's the same thing. The checkpoints won't be available until the day and time that we have class, and then you'll need a password to do it because you have to do it in class. So you can't access that, but all of the quizzes and assignments and everything you can. And then you can't do the final, the midterm or the final project, same thing, because you have to be in class to do it. So does that make sense to everybody? Okay, does anybody have any questions? Okay, so that is Canvas. When you click on the gradebook, please make sure you're checking the gradebook as you go. If you have any questions about your grade, let me know. Maybe I made a mistake in grading and missed something. If you get points taken off for an assignment, I always tell you why. So please check what I said, and maybe what I said is incorrect and you need to ask me about it. So just make sure you're checking that because maybe I missed something. And then if I'm not grading it after a week, please check with me because I probably didn't get it or somehow I missed it because it shouldn't take me any longer than a week to grade. Okay. And then people. I think it's kind of nice if you get to know the people in the class because again, you'll probably be in future classes with them. So you do have the people link and you can contact the people in this class if you want to work together as a study group or you want to work together on an assignment. You have the people link there that you can contact other people or you could just, talk to them before or after class. But you have that link just in case that's helpful. Everybody okay?